Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Evil Man.
Oh, God. That was beautiful.
I put you can see me on the Zencaster camera here. I put a lot into that. You saw that.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
funny to
saw
see
that?
you. You're doing a scary, terrifying voice in what seems to be a children's room. Because I can see toys behind you. I see board games and all sorts of fun drawings and stuff. And it's just fun. A little peek behind the curtain for listeners that you can be scary while you're in a child's world.
Yeah, but what's scarier than a middle-aged man who lives by himself in a room full of children's toys, right?
True.
Call me
It's like
long legs.
you ever
a
wish
Stephen
your
King story.
Yeah.
Chris, do you ever wish your kids had kind of more sophisticated tastes? I mean, that picture on the wall behind your head, I'm sorry, it's not going to be in any gallery.
No, I know. They don't know about Mark Rothko yet, who I'm a big fan of.
Oh, that sucks.
I know. So, they think that 3 swaths of colors on one canvas is nothing. They don't get that. They need it to be like Bluey or Peppa Pig or something to make sense to them. Yeah.
Man, I wish Mark Rothko was still alive today just to hear his thoughts on Paw Patrol or Bluey and all that stuff. He'd
I
probably tear
know.
them to shreds.
Honestly, I would love for Mark Rothko to still be alive today just to hear his opinion on Canadian politics.
Hey, speaking of,
Yeah.
we're taping this on a Sunday night. Guess
Yeah.
who is going to be sitting down with Mr. Stephen Colbert tomorrow night? With a
Yeah.
guy called Justin Trudeau.
Isn't
Oh
that
my
crazy?
god!
Canada's made it.
Is that
That-
false? No, it's true, Doe.
Do you think Trudeau will be sort of like doing a bit, like he'll be doing some sort of a musical number with Stephen Colbert or some sort of scripted bit that's funny?
Oh, that's a good idea. Like when every time Paul Rudd goes on Conan, he always plays the same clip from Mac and Me instead of from the movie he's promoting.
Yeah.
Maybe Justin will. Yeah.
Maybe Justin will do a song with the Roots.
Oh,
That's
Maybe he'll play children's instruments with the Roots of the theme of like "Oh Canada."
maybe he will bring the Roots over from Jimmy Fallon's show onto Stephen Colbert's show. Yeah.
well, remember, Mike, when Stephen Colbert used to do that segment called "The Vax Scene,"
Yes,
and it was all these little syringes, like kind of like 50s, like scenesters, right?
Yeah.
I could see, I could
That's
see
funny.
Trudeau doing some kind of Sammy Davis, Frank Sinatra vaccine kind of parody.
It's so funny that he's going on Colbert because it's an American show, but his appearance is aimed at Canadians to boost his approval ratings.
Mhm.
So he's going to New York City to do a network talk show so that Canadians will like him more, and Americans probably just think he's still cool and has nice hair.
Well, the Canadian industry is so good here at giving top comedians late night shows. It's funny that he didn't pick one of the ones to jump on here.
That's true. That's true.
It'll be
There's
funny.
D'Angelo. There's
There's
Probably
probably
some
got to be
more.
something on Rogers TV still.
Well, we have tons of friends who have gone south of the border and gone on to have nice TV careers. Do you think that now that Justin Trudeau's political career may be at the end, maybe he's, putting out some feelers. Maybe he wants to get a job on the writing staff of Stephen Colbert's talk show, Maybe he could be in the writer's room eating Chinese food, pitching jokes and stuff.
he's very likely to be not employed soon.
Mhm.
So he might want to. He's pretty young. I think he's only like 50 or something. He's probably going to want another career. I think he'd be
Yeah.
great as a late night writer.
I
He could be
wonder
like a
if
correspondent, like they used to have on the Daily Show. Like, hello, it's Justin Trudeau. I am
yeah,
the Stephen Colbert's correspondent here in New York City. You know,
Yeah.
I would love to see Trudeau get like a breakout role from it in like something bigger, like Anchorman 3 or something. I wonder if Trudeau had to submit a vid of him like killing in a comedy club or doing a sketch before
oh,
getting accepted.
he used to do that thing where his party trick was he can throw himself down the stairs. Have you ever seen those videos where he's like,
No.
It's very French
No.
Canadian. He's like, there's old videos of him going like, here's my party trick, and he like, there's video of him with his D'Artagnan mustache
And
throwing
not
Yeah.
himself down the stairs.
and his face is not painted
Yeah,
or
his face
anything in
is white or
this.
is it black?
Yeah.
It's hard to remember which is which. I think there are some both ways.
Yeah.
So he really for real would be like, check this out, and then fall down some stairs.
Yeah, like a young Chevy Chase.
Wow.
I wonder if for a talking point on Colbert, he will pitch that the pendulum has swung back and blackface is actually funny again.
you know
Imagine if
he
he was
was. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna say, like, maybe if the Colbert thing doesn't work out, he's in New York. Hey, Lorne Michaels is Canadian. Maybe he can audition to be part of. He could be like a featured player on Saturday Night Live this season,
Oh,
where
that'd
they
be
sort of.
amazing.
He's only in like maybe one sketch every few shows, but if he does well, maybe he'll become a full cast member in a few years.
I think being prime minister now of like a country like Canada with such a, a G7 country with a decent population, I think that already proves that you've got like a fan base now and you could get booked
Exactly.
on stuff.
Look at us.
Yeah.
We're broadcasting from Canada,
Yeah.
and I was
Mhm.
selling some T-shirts for us over the weekend. I was sending them to
Mhm.
Texas, Chicago, all
Yeah.
over the place.
And that's just
Nowadays,
us. We're not
back in
even
the
like
old days,
ministers of nothing.
you had to be like an American politician to really have a big audience down there. But now you can be the Prime Minister of Canada and be in Ottawa and still have a real fan base, anywhere. Like just like
And
You
us.
could in Canada you can get a momentum in going in the States just from having a really funny podcast, like you said.
Exactly.
So yeah, he's killing it already. I mean, technically he's on the news every night.
Yep.
And those are usually viral vids that blow up.
hmm
he's got lots of followers, which is what agents and producers look for more than anything these days.
Yeah.
hmm
When Just for Laughs gets back up on its feet, he's for sure doing a gala.
Well,
Do
his
you
mom
think-
did.
Hmm.
Margaret Trudeau was doing Just for
Yeah.
Laughs for the final years before it went bankrupt, and she would just
Yeah.
so it'd be like the best comedians in the world and Margaret Trudeau doing a one woman show.
Mike,
It's just me, Margaret.
don't people say is Margaret his mom Margaret, people think she had a sexual relationship with Mick Jagger, was it?
Yeah.
She dated him or had a fling with him, maybe like because she was at the Elma combo in Toronto with the Rolling Stones, and I think she was seen around like Studio 54 in the 70s with
Wow.
Honestly, I
Rolling
just
Stones.
Google image searched her and she's partying with everybody. We've
Yeah.
got
Do you think
King
Mick
Charles, we've got Andy Warhol here. Like, yeah, she's
Yeah.
at Club 54 or whatever it's called.
do you think
With
Mick ever
Ben
sees
The comedy club in Burlington.
Our next act is really making waves on the comedy circuit. Please welcome Margaret Trudeau.
Do you think Mick Jagger ever sees Justin Trudeau on TV and is like, "Oh yeah, I fucked his mum"?
I think
Yeah.
he sees any man on TV and says that. the guy has been around. He's been
Yeah.
with so many women.
I don't want you to stop me up anymore. It hurts so much.
Got me up, mom.
He was so-
I will do your mom and never stop.
His penis must be so desensitized from a lifetime of just nonstop having sex. It just
For
must
people who
be
don't
like,
Yeah. No, well, that's what I was. Well, remember Will Smith said it made him puke having sex?
Yeah, that is classic.
Yeah, I don't know if Mick Jagger pukes or not after a while.
I hope he does.
What on
No?
earth was he doing that? I guess you have your every sexual desire and beyond met, that jizzing makes you puke. I mean, it boggles the mind.
It does. It's never happened to me yet, knock on wood. But I think we're all due one of these days for that to start happening.
I think no offense to anyone, but getting jizzed on would make me puke.
Was Mick Jagger
That's a
or Will
nasty
Smith?
image. Chris is at a Diddy party and some guy
Freak
jizzes
off.
on him, and a freak off, and a guy jizzes on Chris, and he's like, "Ooh,
I like to think
Diddy's got it on tape.
what we're doing right now is sort of an audio freak off.
Yeah. So can I ask, what did he do?
well,
Did it?
I saw. I don't know. You don't know what is
Diddy
real
diddy
or
bop.
not now. But I watched a video online that said that, well, aside from, I think, terrible coercive sexual stuff that Diddy did,
Yeah, yeah.
Diddy also had these parties or something. Yeah, as Mike said, called freak
Freak
offs.
offs.
You wouldn't see one of them in Toronto. That's definitely only in LA. And down there in LA, Diddy's having these freak offs, and I guess he's getting these guys to have sex with each other, and he's filming them. And then he goes, "Don't do, I got this blackmail on you. So
Yeah.
watch out." I think that's what he did. I don't know if I watched something insane and a lot that's not true, but that's a
That's
video
what the
I watched
allegations
said
are.
that.
And
He's
it's like
got-
rappers who were caught on camera apparently, and he had this blackmail. But also, one of the wild allegations is that he had sex with Carl Winslow, Reginald, the actor from Family Matters who played the dad.
Why? Okay. Because Mike,
Hey,
you sent
you're
us this.
telling me you wouldn't in his shoes?
You sent us this article before we started recording.
Yeah.
Reginald Vell Johnson does not have the power, or the pull. You're not doing this to, Brad Pitt over here.
Mhm.
What on earth do you
Yeah.
want to? Why would you want to blackmail Reginald Vell Johnson? Is what I'm saying. And B,
Maybe Diddy
no,
has daddy issues. Diddy daddy.
maybe. And B, yeah. Hey, guess what? If I'm gonna, everyone has different physical types they like, but Reginald Vell Johnson wouldn't be my number one pick if I'm Diddy. That's just the truth.
Maybe Diddy did this so he'd have blackmail in case Reginald Vell Johnson ever tried to bully Urkel again, and he could be like, "Not so
Yeah.
fast." Not
Diddy
so
should
fast.
change his name to Did I Do That?
Do you think any part of Diddy's mind thought about saying that after he made love to Reginald Vell Johnson?
I mean, if
Well,
he didn't do that, he really missed a trick.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be less gross on the podcast these days just
Right.
because I'm starting to realize we have a bigger reach and it's pretty heinous sometimes.
Mhm.
But also my neighbors played a couple episodes while their child was around.
Oh yeah.
And I was like pretty nervous about that. Like, oh, we say terrible things.
But that's part of why people love us. We're the only people with the
Yes,
balls.
that's true.
To
We're
tell it like it
rascals.
really is.
Yeah, you're right. We're like the last bastion against the fascists trying to
Mhm.
get us. Yeah, free
But
speech.
you
anyway,
hear-
Chris, you were about to say something nasty about Carl
Well,
Winslow
like
and
when you
P.
finish in
Diddy.
someone sometimes, and then you watch it leak out. You know what that? Then he would say, "Did I do that?"
In case there was any doubt what you meant.
I wanted to illustrate it more in case someone didn't know what the slang term "cream pie" meant.
Well, did you know that apparently it's not just Carl Winslow, it's the entire TGIF lineup. Apparently Diddy did Cousin Larry and Balky.
Oh,
He did all the
amazing.
Full House dads, and even Alf. Even though Alf wasn't TGIF, but he did Alf.
You did Alf.
Yeah.
And that's weird too because Alf has an alien's anus.
Yeah, it's probably corkscrewed or something.
Yeah, it's got weird stuff in there, weird lining.
It's very hot.
Yo, this anus is from Melmac. Give me that Melmac ass.
Alf, get your Melmac anus out of here.
Alf, would you get your anus off of Diddy?
You know that May song, "Bad Boys, You Make Me Feel So Good"?
Yeah.
You're not gonna believe what the first draft of that was. Melmac anus, you make me feel so good.
Melmac anus. Doom, you make me feel so good. Doom, doom,
Yeah, and Alf is like, how does Alf sound? Yeah, you know, you'll make me feel so good.
Yeah. Yo, you make me feel so good. That's the best beat, though.
Maybe-
Me and my friends danced our butts off to that when we were teenagers.
Yep. Hey, Diddy, if you keep making hits like that, Carl Winslow, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Maybe Biggie Smalls.
Yeah.
Maybe there's more to the Biggie Smalls death than we think. Maybe he heard about Carl Winslow and was like, "I'm out of here," and then sort of he was like, "I could be next," and then
Maybe Diddy was trying to groom Carl Winslow to be the next Biggie.
Carl.
Hey, everybody, it's me, Carl.
Oh, you know?
Apparently, Diddy also, and I hate to say this, he also groomed Jimmy Page when they made the video for the Godzilla song.
Oh no.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
he brought,
apparently
like,
Diddy groomed Jimmy Page.
and Jimmy Page said, "A taste of my own medicine, I see."
Now I'm locked in the closet.
He had 1,000
Someone in
bottles
the
of.
closet.
Did you hear? Did he had 1,000 bottles of lube that was confiscated by the authorities? 1,000 bottles.
Okay, can I just say
Somebody has a Costco membership.
Yeah.
I mean,
Can I just say something? My own personal opinion. Did you say
Of course.
1,000 bottles of lube?
Yes.
1,000 bottles? That's too slippery.
But also, it reminds me of that classic, song you'd sing on car rides. 1,000 bottles of lube on the nightstand. 1,000 bottles of lube. If
Take
Diddy
one
uses up-
down. Yeah, take one down. Squirt it on Carl Winslow.
How many bottles of lube on the nightstand?
We gotta find out more, guys. It can't just be Carl Winslow. I mean,
Carl
that is
Winslow?
a good one. What's his name?
who else was it?
Carl Winslow.
Well, it's not like it is interesting, like to bring a bit of reality into the joshing around. Hip hop world has it's so taboo to be gay in that world. They're so tight about it. No pun intended. It could rock the whole industry and our who knows who's in there. It could rock our interpretation of hip hop classics going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Maybe we
Like,
should
who's
have our
in there?
friend Brandon Ash Muhammad on to talk about it, because I've
Yeah,
asked him
that'd
about
be
it because I
sick.
know he's following the case. It's
Oh, is
pretty
he?
wild.
Oh yeah,
And
like on the
Yeah.
DL off mic, I've been like, this person, and he's like, oh yeah, this person. Yes.
Carl Winslow? Oh yeah.
Well,
Stefan?
Evil Men fans know that, like, Mike, James, and I are massive fans of Family Matters, and for basically years and years, we've always been just like trying to figure out if Carl Winslow was. So this is like really big for us.
I know, like the number of texts, late night texts, like I think he was because look
Yeah.
at this episode. And
Yeah,
then one of us
we'd
would be
share
like,
clips
nah,
with
nah.
each other. We'd share pics of each other, quotes with each other.
Yeah.
Maybe
It
they need
was
to
like
make a.
it was like the people hunting Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they need to make an updated like movie, like a reboot of Cruising that starred Al Pacino in the early '80s. I think maybe they need to make an update about like
Mhm.
someone has been having sex with Carl Winslow from Family Matters. We need to find out who it is. And
Mhm.
it's, the cop goes undercover and finds out it's Diddy. And then, but then the cop gets confused about his own sexuality. And he's like, do I want to have sex with Carl Winslow?
And the
Or
cop
they
could
should
be
remake
Jaleel White.
Hardcore.
Oh my
They-
God.
They should. Oh my god! They should remake Hardcore
Yeah.
with George C. Scott, and he has to go into one of Diddy's freak off parties and pull Carl's Winslow out of the room and take him home. What's his name?
Reginald Vell Johnson.
But isn't it Carl Winslow? Am I saying
Oh
Carl?
yeah.
I said Carl's Winslow.
That's like Ruth's Chris's Steakhouse to me.
Yeah.
I can't say it right. Carl's Winslow.
Well, Chris, I sent you that
Mm.
Cat Williams stand-up clip from like
I
20
love
years
Cat
ago.
Williams
Where
so
he's
much.
very funny.
Cat Williams, if you're listening, please come on
Come
Evil
on the
Men sometimes. We're major fans. You're the funniest guy out there.
He had stand-up from 20 years ago where he's like, I'm in
Yeah.
Hollywood now, and at these Hollywood parties, all this crazy shit happens, and you go into a Hollywood party all excited, and then you go in the wrong room, and then you go, oh. Essentially implying he was seeing stuff like we're talking about with Diddy at these Hollywood parties.
Yeah,
Oh,
basically.
God.
Yeah.
God. Yeah, and like we had a friend just now. No, I can't say because it's like but they had a mutual friend who like for years there were rumors, right? Of like a secret producer kept it on the DL having these massive like gay parties and their friend instantly like was like, "Oh, it's Diddy."
Oh,
Right?
we have a
like
friend.
like some people knew. But this isn't
Okay.
But this isn't the only thing that like Diddy is getting charged with like racketeering, right? And like
Is it because
basically
is it
running
because
like
it's
a
blackmail? Like, is that
No,
what?
I think there's like there's a whole other connection to crime going on. Like he's
Financial
like a
crimes.
boss of a crime family, basically, is what I heard from like this weird podcast I was listening to. But
You come
I
to
mean,
me
he's-
on the day of my daughter's birthday to ask to join my freak off and make love
Hey,
to Carl Winslow.
how come the
Cat
three of
Williams,
us?
if you're listening, we'd love to have you on Evil Men's. I think it's really funny that I said that.
How come the three of us have never freaked off together?
Well, in Canada,
That's
James, it'd be
crazy.
called
I
a frig
know.
off.
Oh, frig-offs.
Oh, there's sex trafficking charges.
Mm.
Beep,
But I
beep.
don't know. I heard racketeering.
In a bad way.
Yeah.
Beep beep.
Boy.
Mm.
He's
Well,
remaining
move
in
on
jail
to-
until trial.
Yeah, we can move on. Keep her
Oh,
tight.
sorry.
Before we get to this week's subject, gentlemen, I want to mention that we have a Patreon account that you can find at patreon.com/evilmen. And for just a few bucks a month, really the price of a damn coffee at Starbucks, probably, you get 2 bonus episodes a month. You get to join our Discord, and you just help us, which is really nice, and we really appreciate. So please check it out, patreon.com/evilmen. And if you don't have, if you can't do that, could you please rate us 5 stars on Spotify? That would be also awesome. Thank
We're
you.
putting together a thing for the end of the year for our patrons. Maybe I shouldn't mention it, but who cares? We're organizing the first ever Evil Men Freak Off. So if you sign
Yes!
up now, your name will be on the list, and you will receive an email. You will need the Onion router to access the dark
Mhm.
web, though,
Yes.
to open the invite.
Yeah.
You will love
Thank
our
you for
freak
that,
off.
Mike.
There will be pizza. There will be flaming cheddar Pringles. And
Absolutely.
tons of lube.
Can I also say a thank you to someone? So I got an Instagram DM from a listener from British Columbia named Rosemary Fairweather, and she sent us such a nice message saying that she loved the podcast and wanted to buy us dinner. And so she sent along a gift card that we can use to buy dinner. And how nice. So big thank you to Rosemary. We're going to eat dinner together, and we're going to do it in your honor soon. And we really appreciate that. That is really nice of Rosemary.
Comes at the
That's
perfect time
awesome.
too, because I'm starving.
Oh.
That
And
is so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah. And she requested, I said, is there anything we can do to thank you? And she said, well, I'd love to have this particular guest on again. No pressure. And I said, you got it. Because frankly, I can be bought. So we're going to have this guy on soon.
That's awesome.
Well, Michael and Chris, here we are, Sunday evening. And Mike, you actually had the friggin' balls to
Yes.
pick the evil man this week.
I did have the
in
balls.
Christ's name did you pick?
So, does the name New York City mean anything to you?
Not really. I'm not a big geography guy, but
Chris, does clubbing till the break of dawn mean anything to you in the late 80s and early 90s?
Oh yes, I've seen pics.
Well, then I'm sure you'll recognize the name
No,
of this week's.
no. Honestly, I've been in New York. I've clubbed all night for decades. I'm a huge clubber. Don't tell me you're doing that guy from The Thing.
Michael Alig, that's right.
Oh,
Michael Alig, aka the Party Monster, the king of the club kid scene from the late 1980s, early 90s New York City dance party scene.
I'm excited. I know nothing about any of this, and
I'm excited too.
I can't wait for Mike to take me on a journey.
Now, most people might know, if they know about him at all, they would know about Michael Alig's story through the movie Party Monster, which starred Macaulay Culkin as Michael Alig, and also Seth Green is in it. And I don't know if they would. If you watch the trailer, you're like, wow, they're doing some pretty interesting voice work there as two gay men characters they're portraying.
I see.
And I don't know if you do
Right.
that maybe today, but it's a piece of film history, and it was Macaulay Culkin's first movie
Mike?
role, actually. Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
You think that-
sorry, I interrupted you. I was just going to say, is that the movie where his cousin Fuller pees the bed for drinking too much Pepsi?
It might be.
No, that one's called Pepsi Monster.
Okay. I might have got that confused with a different one.
I find it weird that Macaulay Culkin, didn't do such a good job playing a gay man, as you say, in Party Monster, since he nailed it in Home Alone.
Home Alone is a movie about a little gay kid who's left behind when his family goes on vacation.
Home Alone is
becomes
about
a
a
party
gay
promoter.
conservative kid in Chicago.
And Joe Pesci and what's his name, Daniel Stern, are two homophobic thieves who want to take him to conversion therapy.
But that is the best part of Home Alone, is like it's so obvious that they're all they're homophobic because they're actually so repressed themselves.
Party
The
Monster
Wet
came out in
Bandit.
2003. 2003 is when it was.
And so this was just a movie about the life of this guy. This guy was just well known and
Yes, well, we'll get into it. He was
Gotcha.
quite notorious for what he did, which we'll come to
Notorious.
shortly. So, guys, check it out. Michael Alig was an American club promoter and artist, in quotation marks, who was convicted of felony manslaughter. He was one of the ringleaders of the Club Kids, a group of young New York City club goers who became a cultural phenomenon in the late 1980s and early 1990s. In 1996, Alig and his roommate killed fellow club kid Andre Angel Melendez in a confrontation over a drug debt.
Oh,
wow.
So
That's
here we
bad.
go. Folks, can I see your IDs before I let you into this club, Evil Men Club, where it's the most exclusive club in Toronto? Oh, okay. Go in.
Here's my ID, Mike.
Ha.
My idea is I just have to take my hat off, and this is not the hairline of a guy under 19.
Straight this way to the VIP lounge, fellows. All right. So Michael Alig was born on April 29th, 1966 in South Bend, Indiana. He was the second of two sons born to John and Elke Alig. So his mother was a German woman and his father was American and his father was a computer programmer. Now sadly, his parents divorced when he was 4 years old, right?
Hmm.
Shit.
Very sad.
Interesting. His mother was a German woman. Hitler
Yes.
was German, correct?
Yes,
Austrian,
that's right,
Oh,
but
James.
okay. Hmm.
yes, yeah, not right next
Interesting.
door. So yeah, it all
Interesting.
adds up. In school, Michael Alec was a straight A student, but during his teenage years, he reported that he was often bullied because of his homosexuality. And so, like a lot of kids in small towns, he sought a less conservative social environment. And after graduating in 1984, he said, "Screw you, Indiana," and he went to New York City, where he attended Fordham University and studied architecture before transferring to the fashion department. Right? Seems like
Okay.
seems like he's escaped this small town, probably closed-minded, and just the bright lights of New York City. Hey, we've all been
That's
there before.
awesome.
I
I gotta
remember I
say
used to
too, like,
listen. Hmm.
fashion is basically just the architecture of the human body.
Mm-hmm. A shirt is like a building, and a pair of pants is like a bridge.
And the ketchup spilling off your hot dog onto your shirt is like one of the planes that hit the two towers.
Absolutely. You can try and scrub it out all you want, but it's your shirt's fucked.
What
Um,
James said is not funny.
so while in New York City, while going to school, he met the boyfriend of the famous artist Keith Haring, right? And they introduced Michael Alec to New York City nightlife, and Michael soon dropped out of school and began working at the club called Danceteria as a busboy. Danceteria was a
That
famous
is
New
a
York.
totally incredible, awesome time in New York music history and party history.
Yeah,
The late 80s.
The early '80s, like all that kind of
Oh,
like, right, Mike? Like all the
yeah. I think it's like because that's when like
is
hip
that the
hop was
same Arthur as Arthur? What's his name?
Arthur
Uh,
Russell.
yeah, and all that those kind of groups and stuff.
Yeah, so I guess it was like hip hop was like developing, and then all like that no wave stuff, and then like electronic
Yeah,
music, like New Order and the Pet Shop Boys were spending time in New York. It was a real mishmash of cool stuff. Now,
yeah.
while working at Danceteria, Michael Alec got to know the nightclub business. He studied it, and he soon became a party promoter. And his ability to stage memorable parties helped him rise to the top of New York's party scene. Right? He did themed parties. Now, some of the parties he did, I'll get to in a bit of time here. Around this time, Alec and other regular clubgoers began creating flamboyant personas and became known as the Club Kids. They would wear outrageous costumes that were described as part drag, part clown, part infantilism. It reminds me of kind of the same kind of costumes we wear when we are performing stand up comedy.
that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Kind of outrageous.
Yes, eye
yeah.
catching to say the least.
Right. Yeah. Well, Mike, I love when you do stand up and you often wear, a nice button up shirt,
Mhm.
nice pants, and then you cut a little
Mhm.
hole out in the middle there where your balls and penis come out of. And
Yeah, they
I
just
always think it's such a provocative look.
And
well,
people who've
I want to
seen James
shock.
do stand up
Yeah.
know that he's always on stage with a huge diaper and a soother in his mouth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Chris, you go on stage dressed like Little Bo Peep, and wow, the looks you get from the crowd when you walk on stage, they're priceless.
Yeah. It's where they wonder where I got that wig.
Now, the club kids, they didn't just dress funny, they did funny drugs. They were known for their frequent use of ketamine, ecstasy, rohypnol, heroin, and cocaine, which again is sort of like Toronto's alt comedy scene.
So at the time, because I sincerely know literally nothing about drugs, but so isn't ketamine is kind of like a more recent drug that people do? But
I
I,
mean, I
I
guess
wonder in the 80s, it must have been kind of a bit more out there to do that. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it might have always have been used since the 60s or 70s. I
Oh,
am as well
okay.
no drugsman, but it does strike me that like something like heroin or ketamine wouldn't be something you'd want to keep yourself up all night to dance till the break of dawn. But who am I? Fun
I
fact,
don't
guys.
know.
Guess who was a club kid? Guess which very famous TV personality and fashion icon was a club kid? That's right, RuPaul.
And get
No
this.
way.
Guess who is the other guest on Monday night when Justin Trudeau is on Stephen Colbert?
RuPaul?
RuPaul. Yeah.
Oh my god! I hope RuPaul can convince Justin to join the club scene of New York City, and they go out together dressed as part drag, part clown, part infantilism.
You know, it's kind of interesting because thinking back to pre-Instagram, it's almost I almost can't imagine how you would be like, let's all get together and this is how we're kind of known in the club world. Like now you would just see it on your phone. It's hard, like it's an impressive achievement almost to become known as that, like only from people seeing you in person, I guess.
Yeah, I guess these parties and things were promoted through like word of mouth and flyers and like listings in like local like free weeklies and stuff like the Village Voice and things.
And the club kids are kind of like putting on the parties.
Yeah. Now, the club kids were so outrageous that they soon became a source of interest for the media, and there were numerous articles about them in like Newsweek and People and Time. And I remember as a kid seeing the club kids on an episode of Geraldo, and they were on Donahue and Joan Rivers and stuff, and they all came out, and the audience was like, "What?" and like freaked out, and then like you'd have guys in suits being like, "I think you're being immoral, and what are you gonna do when you're, like when the party dies and you don't have a real job?" And then the club kids are like, "We make tons of money, fuck you." Basically, you can see the clips of Geraldo and Donahue on YouTube. Now, how about a little bit of Canadian news in this story of Michael Alig, right? So in 1988, Michael Alig was hired by Peter Gatien, the owner of the New York City club, The Limelight. Now, Gatien is a Canadian nightclub impresario. He ran that club Circa. Remember that club called Circa that was at like
Yeah.
King and or John and Richmond
Yeah,
or
it was like
something?
massive and notorious and insane stuff
Yeah.
happened in there apparently.
Yeah.
So he owned a bunch of New York City nightclubs, and he's Canadian, and he has an eye patch. So he has a very distinct look because he lost an eye as a kid in a hockey accident. So he looks like Snake Plissken, sort of, but instead of escaping New York, he's staying in New York and opening nightclubs.
That's awesome.
Now, Michael Alig's parties at the Limelight, the Gatien Club, were such a hit that he began organizing parties at all of Gatien's other clubs. The Club USA, the Palladium, the Tunnel, and Alig's notorious outlaw parties. This is neat. He threw these parties called outlaw parties in unconventional places like McDonald's or Dunkin' Donuts or abandoned houses, even the subway. And
But what did the managers of the McDonald's, what did they think of these parties?
apparently they would all. It was like an early version of a flash mob where all these like crazy people dressed like maniacs would run in with like a portable sound system and just like stay for like 30 minutes, 25 minutes and have a party. And by the time the police came, they would be gone and they would use like a McDonald's or a Dunkin' Donuts like near where the main party was happening. So they'd all just run to the club.
It's really funny to me to think about like chilling with your friends during the day, trying to brainstorm a new way to party. Like, where are we gonna party now? We've partied everywhere.
We partied at
Let's do
bars,
a
taverns, pubs,
let's do a
clubs.
on top of a guy's cowboy hat party, and then they'd find a guy wearing a cowboy hat, take it off his head, and dance on it for 30 minutes.
Ow,
Well,
ow, ow, ow.
Chris, some of those guys apparently partied so much that they would actually vomit every time they partied.
Yeah.
It would
Oh,
make them
now I
vomit.
understand.
Yeah.
Would they
um,
take Cialis just to keep partying?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, hearing about these parties at
Yeah.
McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts, Don't you guys wish that someone in Toronto would throw an insane party at a Tim Hortons or Jack Astor's?
Yes.
Ah, that'd be fun.
Oh, dude, I would love a flash mob party at like a Moose Winooski's.
Hmm. You know what, Mike?
Moose-
That's a
Because you
deep
said
Canadian cut. Shout out.
the club kids incorporate clown, right? So I
yes.
bet if they were here at Tim Hortons, instead of a clown nose, you could just cut a little slice into a Timbit and put that
Yes.
on your nose.
Yeah. And you could suck the jelly out as a little treat as well. Yeah. Now, Alec was having a great time. He's throwing these fun parties. He's, starting a real buzz in the New York City downtown scene. And he also, though, was getting a bit of a reputation for bad behavior, okay? He would throw
Oh,
$100 bills on crowded dance floors just to watch people scramble for them. He's
that is
also, he was
bad.
famous for, he would urinate on club goers from like a balcony or urinate in their drinks. He would also
Oh,
engage in stage falls where he would knock down other people and pull them to the ground. So he was sort of like a gay junkie Kramer.
Yeah. I remember that
ah,
episode when Kramer pissed in George's drink.
um, that was a good one, and they don't show it in
Yeah,
syndication anymore, though, for some
I
reason.
know. I guess they don't think it holds up, but I don't know. It's pretty
that would be so
universal. Pee
annoying
is funny.
if you're out having a fun night and some damn guy up on the roof or in the rafters is peeing on you.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to do heroin dressed like a baby. Have a little respect.
There- There's that Blade scene where the blood sprays out of the
Yeah,
um on
the
people club
sprinklers.
dancing. What's worse, would you think? Blood sprinklers or one guy pissing on you? I'm going with one guy pissing.
Me too, because somehow the blood sprinklers, it's like, hey, we're all doing this. It's kind of fun in a crazy way. One guy
Yeah.
pissing feels like an attack on you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's from Indiana, too. Not cool. So in 1990, Alec hosted the first of his infamous Wednesday night Disco 2000 parties at Limelight. I'll just give you some, it's pretty fun, some of the descriptions of these theme parties. Disco 2000 featured subversive extreme performances, and they had themes like Blood Feast, Hawaiian Luau, TV commercial, pool party, or emergency room. So for the Blood
Mm.
Feast party, the club kids covered themselves in fake blood and screamed at guests from glass coffins, right? Seems fun. For the
Hmm.
pool party, themed one, Michael Alig flooded the basement of the club and admitted no one who wasn't dressed for swimming. You ought to wonder if there was, electricity was a factor, if there were, people getting shocked or electrocuted.
And are they using chlorine, I hope? Because otherwise that water is not very nice.
I know one
Yeah,
guy's gonna
that'll
be
be
peeing in that water for sure.
I
There
am
was,
already exhausted just imagining this guy's life of like, how else can I party? Where else
And
can I party?
these are on Wednesdays.
yeah, I know. I mean, I've heard of hump day, but this is ridiculous.
It is.
Yeah.
You know,
You literally still have 2 more goddamn days you
Yeah.
got to work. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm
And
late
your
again.
boss is on your ass, dude.
Yeah. You smell like piss and you're covered in blood. There was an emergency room theme party where a fake medical tent was set up where the club kids pretended to be doctors and they diagnose a person's problem, then send them to get the prescription from a pharmacy at the back of the club. And then so you'd go to the back of the club and be given ecstasy, rohypnol, cocaine, ketamine, meth, or heroin. So it's just like
Mhm.
funny, witty
Yeah.
kind of theme parties like that, you know?
That's fun. Yeah, yeah.
Now, as
Um,
his oh, sorry.
Did you have what the TV commercial party was?
No, I didn't find an explanation of
Odd,
what
very
TV
odd.
commercial was. Maybe it was for the clapper or
Yeah.
Slinky or
Chia,
something.
chia. And then, I don't
They give
know.
you heroin and they give you a chia pet, or I don't know. It was they were spoofing the commercial for blue blockers, and they gave you that pair of sunglasses and then injected you with cocaine. So as his fame and notoriety were growing, Unfortunately, so did his drug use. And Michael was arrested several times for drug offenses, and he had to go to rehab a few times. Eventually, Peter Gatian, the nightclub impresario, fired him. I guess he was considered to be too much of a liability. Now, Michael Alig says that some of his outrageous behavior, yes, it was maybe because of drugs, but he also blames it on a personality disorder. He reported being diagnosed with something called histrionic personality disorder, which is characterized by high levels of attention seeking behavior. Um,
Ah, like, yeah, like, okay. That reads.
he, yeah, that's why he
He's
had.
giving histrionic behavior.
Now, so around this time, this is all pretty wild stuff, right? Pretty unregulated. This is before New York was cleaned up. Now, it's interesting. I was reading that in 1994, when Rudolph Giuliani, America's mayor, became mayor of New York City, he began a program to clean up New York to make it family friendly. And part of that involved targeting nightclubs where drugs were dealt pretty much in the open. So the NYPD and the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration started targeting Gatian, the nightclub owner, because they thought that he was, just sort of allowing drug dealers to work his clubs and he would get a cut of the profits. Now, Peter Gatian found out about this, that he was targeted, so he fired some of the more obvious drug dealers working on his in his nightclubs. One of those drug dealers that he fired was a guy named Angel Melendez. He was 26 years old. He
Okay.
was one of the club kids who was a drug dealer. He was at the clubs, and his signature look, he was called, I guess his real name was Angel. His signature look was a set of 6 foot wide feathered wings, right?
You know
So he's not.
what? I'm totally remembering now that I've seen Party Monster.
You remember the wings?
Yeah, now that you're describing this part, I'm like, "Oh, yeah. Wasn't at the party, but I remember this?"
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Angel Melendez.
Damn.
So he's not really blending into the background, I guess, if he's dealing crack and cocaine with these big
Yeah.
wings, but got to make a living somehow. In
Yeah.
March of 1994, Melendez was fired. He was removed because Gatchin didn't want to get arrested by the NYPD. But Melendez, he has his source of income cut off, and he was furious about being fired. Now, a few days later, Angel Melendez went to Michael Alig's apartment to get some money that he was owed from Michael. Now, Alig lived with his roommate, a guy named Robert Riggs. And also, this is interesting, also staying at Michael Alig's apartment was a guy called Daniel Auster, who was the son of the novelist Paul Auster. Small world.
Oh, yeah. New York,
Now,
man. Only in New York.
only in New York. Now, Melendez had been a sometimes roommate of theirs as well, but Alig had a habit of taking whatever money or drugs Melendez left around. So Melendez went to the apartment and demanded compensation for all the funds and drugs that Alig had stolen. He's out of work now, right? The apartment was being renovated at the time, so there are all sorts of tools and construction materials around. Michael Alig and his roommate were in the midst of a multi-day heroin binge, right? Absolute madness. And Alex said that he took the money and drugs from Melendez because Melendez hadn't paid rent. And Alec was like, "You should be grateful for all the opportunities I've done for you. I've helped you, deal drugs in the nightclubs and stuff like that, right?" So there's a bit of tension. Alec's roommate, Riggs, calmed them down and he went to sleep. Within an hour, Riggs was awakened by a screaming match between Michael Alig and Angel Melendez. According to Riggs, he ran into the living room in time to see Melendez push Alig into a glass cabinet. Melendez then threw himself on top of Michael Alig and began biting his chest. Riggs grabbed a
Oh,
hammer and hit Melendez on the head with it, but the first blow was weak, and he landed a second blow, but Melendez didn't seem to feel it. The third blow, he hit him with all his might, and Melendez slumped unconscious because his skull was fractured. Michael Alig was
good God.
furious. He began strangling Angel Melendez with his bare hands and then wrapped a red sweater around his neck and strangled him with the sweater in fury until his roommate pulled him off, right? Now, at this point,
Hey, if you're gonna strangle someone with a sweater, I will say
Mm-hmm.
Smart to make it red
Right.
because,
Color of passion.
well, if symbolically, yes. Also, if you get blood on it, forget
Right.
it on like a
Yeah.
white wool Irish sweater thing. Forget it.
James,
But if it's
are you
red,
are you a party monster?
no, 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 no. I'm just, I hate stains.
Excellent.
Well, we're recording this on Zencaster tonight, but I do think that the next time the three of us actually get together in the same room, we should bring a hammer and see how long each one of us lasts by how many blows it takes to knock us out.
I go one by one.
Yeah, we'll do one each and then we'll go around them.
Yeah.
If we're still standing, we'll go two each. And then we'll see who's left standing gets the tontine.
It's like the marshmallow game. It's like, how many marshmallows can you stuff in your mouth? Why?
Yeah, or like crackers without a water, right?
Yeah, I'm in. I'm in.
Cinnamon
So,
challenge, but with a hammer.
You guys go ahead and do that. I'm going to do a freak off.
all right, fair
Oh,
enough.
freak off.
Freak off, buddy.
It is weird how like Diddy's story like is still in my mind and this world is still like not even that far removed
Yeah,
from it. Except there's not a lot of blackmail going on, but drugs and partying. Yeah.
drugs and partying. So at this
We
point,
are pretty straight edge guys, eh? We haven't done heroin. Have you done
No,
ketamine or heroin or anything?
no,
no,
no.
I feel
I've had
weird
weed
actually.
gummies.
Like, I can't really make jokes about these party monsters because I I have FOMO. Like, they sound like they have no qualms getting loose, and I think
they're
the three of
much
us are
more
pretty uptight.
relaxed. Yeah, yeah. They have
I have to be
fewer.
honest. I don't have FOMO at all. That no offense to them, but it just seems
Yeah. Hmm.
exhausting and tiring. And that you described that Michael had some sort of attention seeking thing. It's like, yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
like that. Like, oh my god.
Yeah, he might be a bit much, eh?
Oh yeah.
Well,
I-
he's just a personality, you know. But
What's
guys
his
wanna
name
hear-
again?
Michael Alig.
Okay.
Do you want to hear about what happened after they hit this? They bonked the damn guy on the head and they strangled
And
him with a
strangled
sweater.
him. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
Michael Alig and his roommate believed that Angel Melendez was merely unconscious. They were terrified by what had happened, so they just did the natural thing. They did a bunch more heroin, right? A
Right.
few hours later, they both woke up and realized, uh-oh, Melendez, he wasn't breathing. He had, in fact, died from asphyxiation when Michael Alig had strangled him with the sweater.
Jesus.
So they freaked out. They didn't know what to do. They undressed him. They threw him in the bathtub, poured ice cubes and cold water on him in an attempt to bring him back to
That'll
life.
reverse the death.
Yeah. I mean, these guys aren't operating on all cylinders. You know, they're not firing
Yeah.
on all cylinders.
They put him in an ice cube bathtub, did you say?
They put him in the bathtub, filled it with ice, poured water on him. They
Yeah.
ran and got a first aid book. It's alleged that Michael Alig poured Drano down Melendez's throat or injected him with bleach. He
To bring
denies
him
he did
back
that.
to life?
No, at this point, it was to like keep the body from decomposing or starting to smell and give them away, right?
Oh
that's
man, that
smart.
would be so stressful.
Yeah, so you know,
Yeah.
it's not
I
not
do
ideal.
I do not want to kill a guy.
No,
Like,
well,
especially on drugs, like you're on drugs and you have to deal with it. Oh my god.
yeah, this is the
Dude,
dark side of drugs.
I'm like a chill weed gummy, like glass of wine.
Well, if you had a glass of wine and a gummy, I bet you wouldn't do what Michael and his roommate just are about to do, right? So after a few
Yeah.
days, Angel's body began to decompose and smell. And after discussing
Oh
what to do
God.
with his body, Riggs went to Macy's, high class, to buy some knives and a box. In exchange for 10 bags of heroin, Michael Alig agreed to dismember Melendez's body.
Good
Right?
God.
He cut his
Yeah.
legs off, put them each in separate garbage bags, then into separate duffel bags, and threw them into the Hudson River.
So 10
The
bags
rest-
of heroin, you said.
Yeah, he's sort of underselling himself. It's
Yeah, no, what would you guys need in trade off to chop a guy's body up into bits?
11 bags of heroin.
Okay.
So if you said to me, Chris, if you said to me,
no, I
James,
would call you James.
I killed a guy. I'll pay you. What would you take to be the one to chop the guy up and throw him
Yeah.
in a river.
Dismember this dead body I made.
Wow.
What do you need?
A
What do you
lot.
need?
Because I wouldn't want to go to
Mhm.
jail. A lot.
I think honestly, like, if
A
you could
lot.
make one of those a lot. Good answer. I will work on scrounging up a lot for you.
Like, you probably literally have to be $1 million.
I
Yeah.
personally, if you could make one of those AI busty MILFs who shows up in my Instagram algorithm when I hit the search button, every now and then, not all the time, but every now and then one pops up. I don't know why. But if you could make one of those real and they loved me,
That's what
then
your price would
maybe
be?
I will start chopping legs off of a corpse.
Every man has a price, you know?
Because
So,
then it's like, I'll just take a bus with this. Like, it's all they should. Okay, whoever like, we have cool fans and stuff, and that
oh yeah.
listen. Whoever is listening to this episode ever, no matter if it's like right when it comes out or you stumble upon Evil Men years into the future, do not steal this idea. I'm copywriting it right now on this recording, but I really do think they should remake Pinocchio, but instead of a wooden puppet, it's an AI busty MILF that's inside a phone.
And what happens when she lies?
Oh baby. Her nose grows.
Oh,
Still.
okay.
It still knows.
Still knows. So, guys, they've thrown the legs into the Hudson River. Check this out. The rest of the body they put into a big box they found in the basement of their apartment. And then they threw the box into the Hudson River as well. Hudson River, now an accomplice in this murder.
Yeah.
Now, in the following weeks after Melendez's disappearance, this is insane. Michael Alig told anyone who would listen that he and Riggs had killed Angel Melendez. Most people didn't believe him, though, and they thought he was just doing this to get attention because he's a crazy, unhinged guy, and he'll say anything. He has a reputation for being nuts.
Yeah.
At this point, Michael Alig began treating the murder as a joke. He wore Melendez's high-heeled boots to clubs. He said Melendez had left to visit family in Colombia, or said that a jealous drag queen was making up stories about a murder. Rumors flew that Alig and Riggs had killed Melendez as part of a satanic ritual and ate his genitals or liver, or that Alig and Melendez were perpetrating a hoax on everyone. So no one really took it seriously. Alig soon began boasting of the killing. He showed up one night at Limelight with "guilty" written on his forehead, but no one
Why?
believed him. After all, why would a murderer go around publicly claiming he'd committed a murder?
He's literally like the personification of the purloined letter.
Yes.
That
Poe?
is nuts. That's
It's like hiding in
crazy.
plain sight. Like, yeah, why would a murderer go around boasting about a thing? It doesn't make sense in
Guys,
that
gentlemen,
logic.
I'm gripped right now, but may I please go to the bathroom for 2 seconds?
Yes.
Thank
You
you
may.
so much.
You're welcome. That's interesting, Mike, the hiding in plain sight. It kind of reminds me of, like, I remember like a couple years ago, like I think I said it on the podcast, like walking out with of a grocery store with toilet paper or something. I just forgot to pay, like some kind of scenario like that. I was like, oh my
Right, and you were
god.
loaded down with like tons and tons of toilet paper.
No, but it's just like, I bet if I had
Mhm.
realized, I would have been like, but not, but sort of like, I guess, being brazen with it because I didn't realize.
Yeah.
You're just walking straight out without thinking twice. And I mean, I know
You
that's a
don't.
very, very weird example of to
No.
compare it to, but that's just, I guess, if you're like, I killed that guy, people just don't believe you.
I guess just simple reverse psychology or something, but it is like psycho to hear the guy who actually did it. That he
Yeah.
was like, this is my tactic. I'll read until Chris comes back. The
Oh,
cast
he's
list.
back.
Oh, okay.
Must have just been a pee.
I was going to say that Chloe Sevigny and Natasha Lyonne are in Party Monster, as is Vilmer Valderrama from that
Ooh,
70s show.
Fez.
Fez. Dylan McDermott plays the eye patch wearing Peter Gatian. And also, Marilyn Manson plays a club kid. So,
Awesome.
How was the pee?
Satisfying. I mean, yeah, you guys don't know, but the bathroom's right across the hall, and I did go fast, but I've been drinking a tall can of Coors Light, so they just go right through. Yay!
yeah, broke the seal. So, on April 26th, 1996, Michael Musto, who was a reporter for the Village Voice, reported rumors of Alig's involvement in Melendez's death in a blind item in his column. And no names were used, but the report included the details of the murder. And the next day, the New York Post's page 6 gossip column ran a lead item about the murder mystery, citing Musto's reporting, as well as a New York Magazine piece quoting an evasive Alig. Over the coming weeks, the Village Voice had a bunch of reports and accusations about Angel Melendez's murder, a lot of them pointing a finger at Michael Alig. The strange thing is that for months and months, the police didn't even question Michael Alig about the murder because they were focused on his former boss, Peter Gatian, who they were still trying to bust for drugs. And they wanted Michael Alig to testify against Peter Gatian, so they were more concerned about.
So it was their own bias because they wanted to take him down, anyways.
They wanted to take down Peter Gatian rather than investigate the death of a drug dealer from the club scene. You know?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's that too. The importance was probably not high.
I'm looking up Peter Gatian. What a crazy look with the
Yeah, he
with
looks
the eye
like a G.I.
patch.
Joe figure or
I'm
like
gonna
a
look it up
villain.
too.
Yeah.
Gatian. How do you spell it?
Gatien.
He's still alive.
Still alive. He's from Cornwall, Ontario.
Hey,
That's
home of Andrew Johnston.
insane. All
Isn't he from
right.
Brockville?
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
Another
They're
small
close.
Ontario
Yeah.
town.
Mm.
Now, guys, since so much time had passed since Angel Melendez's murder, a lot of people just thought that Michael Alig would get away with murdering him in cold blood until, check it out, one day some children were playing in the water when suddenly a box containing a legless torso washed up on the beach in Staten Island. And
Hey, maybe that's a box filled with porno. Let's open it. Oh no.
Yeah.
that'd be horrific, wouldn't it? I think that we could all agree it would be horrific to be a kid in Staten Island. A box floats.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
no.
A torso just for us.
You kids get away from that box.
Yeah.
By November 1996, a coroner reported the body had been identified as Angel Melendez. Alig fled New
Jeez.
York at this point, but he was located by police in a motel room rented by his drug dealer in Toms River, New Jersey. Michael Alig was arrested, as was his former roommate, Riggs. And shortly after they were arrested, his roommate confessed to the police that they killed Angel Melendez.
For people listening, I just want you to know that I just shivered because of the chillingness of it.
It's a gruesome, very grisly story here. Michael Alig told the police that he killed Angel Melendez in self-defense and helped to dispose of the body in a panic. Prosecutors were hesitant to charge Alig with first-degree murder, as they still hoped he would testify against his former boss, Peter Gatian, who had been arrested for allowing drugs to be sold in his nightclubs. It goes to show how, I guess this still happens. We did the Bruce MacArthur episode, that the cops weren't really too bothered if people in like the gay community went missing or were murdered.
Yeah, it's nuts that they prioritized this club owner who allowed drugs in his club over murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't like his damn eye patch and they were like, we gotta
Yeah.
get this guy. So Alig and Riggs were eventually offered a plea deal, a sentence of 10 to 20 years if they accepted the lesser charge of manslaughter. So on October 1st, 1997, both Alig and Riggs pleaded guilty and were sentenced to 10 to 20 years. manslaughter, even though they did it in cold blood. That's wild.
Yeah.
And while in prison, Michael Alig told the journalist Michael Musto, "quote I know why I blabbed. I must have wanted to stop me. I was spinning out of control. It's like the old saying, what do you have to do to get attention around here? Kill somebody?" Which I would like to point out is not a saying.
Yeah,
You
I've
know
never heard
what?
anyone say that.
It's so like, man, it's just so haunting that this like, you know, I mean, they're obviously like probably drug addicts, and there's a lot of darkness in regards to that. But there's this sort of like, obviously a party scene where it's like, come on, like life is short, let's party, and the aim of that is this kind of like massive sort of, the selling of that is like, we only live once, it's time to be free and let yourself be exactly who you want to be and let loose. It's really it's definitely obviously a very cathartic and freeing environment for so many of these like party animals. And then to have like, think of that vibe and that environment, and then have this insanely dark sort of like cloud of horror like creep across, like people half naked in clown makeup like standing on wet cement floors, just being
Yeah.
like, whoa, did you hear? You know what I mean? Like, it's because if you ever been to a rave, like, it would be a real downer if at like 4 a.m. or 5
Yeah.
a.m. everyone's like, they killed him with a hammer to the head. And then you're like, you're tripping out and you're like, good God. Like
Have you
people
been
who,
to a rave, Chris?
yeah, I went to a few. I wasn't a big raver or anything.
What were they like?
I've also, yeah.
What was a rave like? I've
Well, I
never
made the
been.
wet floors joke because I don't know what it was, but like, yeah, for some reason, like, in my teens, for sure, I went to like clubs and stuff with like the friends I had from high school and stuff like that, because we all just did whatever like someone would say, let's go do. Uh, yeah, and then like I always felt like there's certain types of clubs, especially like weird rooms, like a big warehouse, like a rave, where you're like, what? Especially, it might be a Canadian rave thing too, where like everyone's going into rave in like winter boots on. And then by the end, like, and everybody, and you remember pants were like massive back then.
Yeah.
So
Oh
like
yeah,
you
yeah.
kind of like stood on the hem of your pants back then. So I
Was it all the
remember like,
condensation from like everyone sweating and
yeah, maybe
like
like muddy boots and whatever. But then
yeah.
like I always felt like every time I was like leaving at like 6 a.m. or something, like the bottom of my pants were wet. Like dirty floors. I don't know. But yeah,
Rave
I don't know.
culture.
I
Do you
felt like
ever
it was
remember
I
Do
always
you
felt
ever
it was weird that you
remember?
needed to take drugs to like um give each other massages and stuff. Like, I don't know.
Do you have any memories of farting at a rave?
I actually have memories of like being at clubs and stuff, and like a fart would like make everybody move off of an area of a dance floor. I never did it, but I remember being so mad. Actually, holy shit, dude. This has never been, I don't think, even announced on Evil Men in all these years. But literally, one out of the three of us was a party monster of the 2000s. Mike and Terrence and your friend Aaron did Shake a Tail for years, and that was the place to be. Remember?
Right, so because the
Yeah.
DJ, you DJ'd and hosted this party, right?
Yes. Now it wasn't cutting edge electronic music; it was '60s music. But yeah,
And we
there
all wore
were.
like Value Village clothes, because we were like starving artists and we didn't have clown makeup on or wings or anything.
And
And we mostly just chugged a million beers
yeah,
instead
that
of
was
did.
beer
I
was
think
our heroin.
Yeah, brown the brown
right.
stuff.
I
But yeah,
never thought
Mike,
about that. Mike
I
was
think there was a Shake a Tail when you did it at the Stones place one time, where there was
Yeah.
one of those like someone on the dance floor did a extremely rotten guts, haunted gut
Yeah.
fart where everyone's like, "Fuck you," and like moved off the dance floor.
Yeah, it made the sound system short. It was like
Making time. I ca- I don't care about getting satisfaction anymore. I'm out of here.
Well, isn't that a thing that doesn't cocaine use create some pretty rank farts?
Really? I don't know.
Beautiful conversations and bad farts.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll wrap up the story of Michael Alig as fast as I can here. If you
It just
guys,
makes your guts want to party.
it's
Oh my
like,
god.
does Gordon Gekko? I haven't seen Wall Street in a long time, but there's a lot of sound effects of him farting constantly, right? While he's making speeches about
Greed
greed.
is good.
Oh my
um,
god.
so Michael Alec, he's now in prison. He's transferred around to a bunch of prisons. He's in Rikers Island. He's in the Southport Correctional Facility.
I'm so
He's in
sorry.
Salt.
I just pictured. Sorry, I'm so sorry. No, I always ruin it, Mike. I'm sorry.
Well, just say what you're going to say
Okay,
now.
in the '80s, it was a big deal for like yuppie Wall Street bros to like snort cocaine off of prostitutes' breasts, like in a limo and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine they're like woo partying, and then when the escorts or whatever get out of the limo, they're like, "You." It's just like the stinkiest hot box in the world with all these like frat boy bros. Just it's like we're living the high life, baby.
Start spreading the news. Yeah. Gro- Gross time.
The grossest time was the yuppie 80s.
It's a bunch of guys snorting coke, listening to Huey Lewis, and the room smells just awful.
Oh god. Sorry, a news item just popped up. Usher has wiped his entire Twitter history, erasing 7,000 of his old tweets. And
But
and there's a picture of him here with Diddy under that tweet.
But is there an explanation under that tweet where it says that he did that because of a crypto scam? Because I saw that same tweet, but then I saw an
Oh.
explanation that that wasn't because of Diddy. I don't know what the truth is, but I did see that.
Well, this is to be
Oh.
continued. We will
Hmm.
find out why Usher
Let's
wiped
finish
his tweets.
I
Mr.
feel
Alec.
like we're teasing like a new episode coming down the pike in the future.
Yeah. Well, to wrap it up, yeah. Michael Alec, he's in jail. He's being transferred from prison to prison. He gets in trouble because he's caught using heroin while in prison, so he's still on drugs. He applies for parole in 2006. It's denied. Then he used the time in prison to start reading, and he became a voracious reader. And he was inspired to write his memoirs, which he titled Aligula, very witty. And he particularly identified, he said, with the character Raskolnikov from Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, which makes sense because Raskolnikov was also a New York City party promoter who dressed like a clown and threw wild parties at McDonald's.
Yes, that's right.
In 2009, Alex said he finally decided to stop using drugs and that he'd been sober since then. However, he was he was released from prison in 2014, right? He, according to the conditions of his parole, he had to live in New York City, which seems like you're just asking for trouble. It's like, you better not go anywhere but New York City, a city where any crazy thing can happen. He was required to abide by an 8 p.m. curfew and undergo drug tests and anger management counseling. He did an art show of his paintings, which got some press. And he eventually got back into the party promoting business. There was a weekly Monday night party called Outrage in the Lower East Side area of New York City, and it was a success. And
Mm,
Alig brought in old and new generations of club kids.
yeah.
Right?
Is he keeping his nose clean now?
No. In 2017, he was arrested for trespassing and smoking crystal meth in a park
Uh,
outside the Bronx Supreme Court. Doesn't seem like a great place to smoke meth, but who am I? I'm not a club kid.
can I say something to as a question to all the people out there who do hard drugs all the time?
Yeah.
And to you guys if you're gonna answer, but like if you're literally if your life depends on relying on hard drugs all the time and being under that influence, then how do you know who the real you is?
Interesting question. Are you trying to escape even having to deal with that question by
Mm-hmm.
living in a fog of narcotics? Narcotics. I don't know. Listeners, get in
Well,
touch.
let us know, and then.
Yep. Send us a message at evilmenpod on Instagram.
Subject line: hard drugs. Um. So here's the end of Michael's life. After working the outrage party events, he continued to promote and host parties in New York City. During COVID, during the lockdown, Michael Alig and his friend Jason Chaos hosted Zoom party events. And they were so
Oh,
popular
God.
during lockdown that the New York City police investigated, believing there was a real in person event when it was actually a virtual party. Right?
Not gonna
He
Sad
might
news.
have lost
deny
his
that.
edge at this point.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Zoom
true.
parties?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not gonna deny that I am envious of the name Jason Chaos. I really wish I had a cool name like that.
Well, it's not too late. You could be,
Chris
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 Wild,
Nonsense.
Chris Nonsense. Guys, Christmas is one of the
Yeah.
most fun and exciting and sort of emotional times of the year. Would you agree with me when I say that?
Oh
Agreed.
yeah, big time.
Well, it's about to get a lot more emotional because on December 24th, 2020, shortly before midnight, Michael Alig was found unconscious by his ex-boyfriend at their Washington Heights, Manhattan home. Sort
Was he
of like
vaccinated?
A Christmas Carol. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure actually. It didn't
Because
come up.
that would be my number one
Yeah,
question here.
well, I don't know if he was vaccinated with the vaccine, but he had been using a needle. He was using heroin again before he fell ill and was pronounced dead at the scene. He was 54 years old. The following day, Christmas, his mother confirmed his cause of death as an accidental heroin overdose.
Damn.
Very sad. Now, after he died, just one final thing, there was a war between Michael Alig's mother and the club kids, the surviving club kids in New York, over who got to
Oh,
keep his ashes. Because the club
right.
kids wanted his ashes, and his mother was like, well, I'm kind of his mother. And so they reached a
Mhm.
compromise where she was like, you can have half of the ashes, and I want them. She got, as his
Mhm.
mother, all of his ashes. And then the party, like the club kids, started bad mouthing her in the press, saying that she was never going to give them back their half of the ashes. And she was like, well, fuck you guys if you're going to be like,
Yeah.
like this, bad mouthing me in the press. Eventually, I think they did get a split of his ashes. So part of them are buried
Weird.
in his hometown, part of them are buried somewhere like scattered in New York.
Well, I mean, his mother is family for sure, but also like the people you party and do drugs with for 3 decades is the family you met along the way.
Yeah. I
He
would
had this
We
massive
got the
following and
ashes,
found
boys.
family.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
I would like my
Yeah.
ashes scattered near Comedy Bar West in Toronto, maybe in the cabaret room or in the sort of bar area.
I want
I
someone
like that.
on the ceiling of a party to urinate onto my ashes.
So that's the story of Michael Party Monster Alig.
Wow, what a life, man. That guy lived out loud. Brought a lot of people together, but then he removed one person. Pretty crazy.
Well, very, very nice, Michael.
Yeah,
And
good work.
perhaps it is time to be paid a visit by the
Evilometer.
Oh, look at him. He's dressed half like baby, half like clown, half drag queen, and he's got some martinis for us. Ooh, 3 streams of robot urine are emitting from 3 holes in his body. He's peeing in our drinks,
Oh,
and
evilometer.
he's high on heroin, and he's hitting us on the head with the hammer. Ow! 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 Ow!
Ow. David Deneen Porter texted me recently and said, "Why does the evilometer behave like the subject?" And I went, "Well, I don't know. He
I mean,
just
that's a question for
just
the
does."
evilometer. Yeah.
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 Well, gentlemen, perhaps I'll go first on this one. I think he's a 3.9. That's what I think. I don't know. Just under 4. He killed a guy, but I don't know that he meant to.
Dismembered him,
Well,
walked
all that's
around
bad.
saying
But only
guilty.
one guy, and he was a drug dealer. Not that, but I'm just saying. That's my
You're
score.
tough on
I'm sticking
crime.
to it.
Yeah.
3.9 is my evil score for him.
Chris, what do you say?
I don't know. Like, you're right. The murder's pretty heinous, but he was fucked up on heroin and was doing it. But then he also like chopped up the body willingly for 10 bags of heroin. Like, that's kind of low. Also, you know what? Partying and making money off of producing parties, being a party promoter and stuff, fine. But also just getting young kids into these parties and giving them like the hardest drugs that their little hearts and minds could ever handle. You know what? I might give them like a 6.
Whoa.
That's a good point. He may have,
Even if like some of it was like,
indirectly
yeah.
really contributed to kind
And
of.
I know he's got a lot of fans, obviously. Like we heard, they fought his mom for the ashes and stuff. I understand that, guys. Like, I totally understand, like I said earlier, the freeing aspect of, you know, living a hedonistic, free party life. Like, I understand that desire, but maybe even unconscious to him, Michael, that, you know, he was actually getting like, he might have been responsible for more deaths that he doesn't even know just because of the hard drugs that were being dealt out of the back of his parties like a pharmacy, as you said. So, to willingly just like allow that, it's pretty rough in my opinion.
Good thought, Michael.
One thing I forgot to mention is that apparently when he was released from jail, some of the surviving aging club kids came to meet him outside the prison, like dressed up like old club kids, and
Yeah.
were like cheering for him and stuff. And one of them had a toy hammer apparently as a
No.
For
joke.
real?
Yeah. Um,
No, they had no. What's the word? No sacred cows.
no
These
sacred cow-
guys, hey.
No, these were very, very sassy, bitchy club kids who, they'd make a joke about anything. What do I give Michael Alig, Party Monster? Yeah, I'll go like with Chris. I'd give him a 6 as well. Seems like I can't turn away from the fact that of the brutal murder and dismemberment and disposal of the body of a fellow human being, and his behavior in the aftermath. So yeah, I'll give him a damn 6.
Also, his hardcore fans, like, who are meeting him when he comes out of prison dressed up and stuff, like, I understand where you guys are coming from, but just close your eyes for a moment and picture him dismembering this corpse that he helped murder. That's
Yeah,
pretty
not
heinous,
everything is
dude.
like. Isn't that sort of funny? Like,
Yeah, far out.
I guess would we see someone like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy differently if we knew they had a very active social life and everyone wanted to be around them? Because those guys are kind of loners.
loners,
Yeah,
famous loners.
yeah,
Well,
Yeah,
for
good
Jeffrey
point.
Dahmer and guys like that, dismembering a body was the party.
absolutely. Yeah, he doesn't need a DJ. He doesn't need. People pissing in
Apparently,
drinks.
apparently, when he would dismember bodies, though, he would beatbox. Oh my god!
Most people don't know that, but it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, yeah. So there you go. That was really good, Mike.
Thank you.
Also, check out the film Party Monster.
Apparently, it's not available anywhere to stream. It's basically if you can find a DVD copy of the movie, you can watch it, or you can watch the trailer on YouTube. But it's not streaming anywhere. So
It's not even on YouTube because YouTube takes a lot of movies that aren't on streaming services.
Oh, really? Maybe.
No.
You can look it up at home, folks.
It is.
Oh, it's on YouTube. Well, if you like this episode and you want to see Macaulay Culkin speak in a, I guess you'd say, problematic voice for an hour and a half, this is the movie for you.
Excellent.
Well, guys, thanks. That was another excellent episode of Evil